everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer this week, and this is going to be the astro weather for the week of March 23rd through the 30th, 2025. We're going to be talking all about the transits and what is kind of happening this week. And it is a fiery one, guys. Get ready. We have a lot of things to cover in this Sunday video, but obviously I'm going to be taking a bigger look at Neptune's ingress into the sign of Aries. I'm calling this baptism by fire. If you guys like my content, you want to see more of it, make sure you subscribe, click the bell button below so you're alerted as to when I have new videos on the channel. Equally, if you have already subscribed, please make sure you're still subscribed. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video and consider sharing on your social media. And leave me a comment below and let me know, how are you feeling with these energies, solar eclipse, retrogrades, and we're going to see this really significant Neptune ingress. So buckle up, guys. It is going to be quite the week. This forecast to me feels like a roller coaster. I'm not going to candy coat it. I think there's lots of fiery revelations going on, lots of emotional depth to this week as we see planets retrograding back into Pisces, and obviously a little bit of some dreamy shifts. But I feel like we're kind of riding the waves of some of this cardinal energy with Mercury cazimi really lighting up and igniting communication this week in the sign of Aries, a very potent solar eclipse, and obviously, like I said, Neptune's grand entrance into the warrior sign. So these are going to be the major headlines. I will be breaking down each individual day, and we're going to be talking about what's going to be happening with the lunar transits as well. As always, you guys can find these in the description below. So if you click below, you'll be able to see the day by day. I put the notes there for you guys so you can kind of plan your week. But my goodness, I don't even know where to begin. It's very, very rare that I sit down and I write the notes and I'm like, this week is insane. But this week is insane. So I know that March has been a lot for you guys so far. If you guys aren't already aware, I already put out the April 2025 horoscopes. So those are live if you guys want to take a look and see where things actually kind of calm down next month. We're able to kind of take a breath and bounce back from some of these energies. But yeah, we've got Mercury cazimi taking place at 4 degrees of Aries. So if you have anything around 3, 4, 5 degrees of Aries, you're going to want to pay attention. But I think for everybody with that connection with the South Node in Virgo and Mercury, this is a burst of mental clarity. Obviously, it's in the sign of the Ram, but it can be giving us some insight into where we need to get out of our own way, where we can better change our habits, the way that we're communicating with ourselves as well as other people. And we know that the cazimi is the halfway point through the Mercury retrograde. So we're chugging through this period, hopefully with a little bit more self-awareness, and we can kind of have like an aha moment with that cazimi. Now, Mars has been retrograde and now it's direct. And so if you've been watching throughout the last couple of months, while Mars has been in Cancer, it has made several squares to Chiron in Aries. And this is an emotional wound. Actually, if you guys are watching this on Sunday the 23rd, the moon is triggering this square between the moon and Chiron and Mars. So you're probably feeling a little bit of it today, but we're going to see this final square perfect. And I am anticipating that this is about emotional wounding coming up. And it's really about being courageous, being willing to kind of stand up and tend to some of those wounds. They can be personal, can be with the past or with our family or our home situations. Now, Venus continues her retrograde this week. We're going to see her dipping back into Pisces, which I feel like is actually a good thing. Venus is going to be a lot happier in this sign. Granted, she is still retrograde, so we're still kind of working out karmic matters when it comes to love, money, and matters of the heart. And while she is retrograde, she's going to be making some very significant aspects. So she will be hitting Neptune at 29 degrees. Obviously, there can be lots of glitz and glamour, but there can also be this sense of having some confusion revolving around just exactly who or what we love. We see scams, we see scandal, and we also see meltdowns happening at this degree. So we can kind of be peeling back the layers of what we feel like is not real. So that way we can gain clarity on some of this stuff. And she will also be meeting with the North Node in Pisces. So really, love, dreams, and destiny are all colliding. Now, this is an excellent time to be selfless, to be helping other people, to be praying, to be meditating, donating time, services, and selfless acts of love. I encourage you guys to focus on that this week. It's going to really help you during this particular conjunction. And as you know, we're in eclipse week. So how are you guys doing? Last week was just like a little bit of like a break, but now we're coming into a solar eclipse in Aries. It's going to be at 9 degrees. So if you have anything 8, 9, 10 degrees of Aries or the cardinal signs, you're feeling this one. This is the final solar eclipse in Aries. If you guys go back to the spring of 2023 and the spring of 2024, those were periods where we saw solar eclipses taking place in Aries, and they have been feisty and fiery. This one really reminds me of the one we had last spring while we were also experiencing a Mercury retrograde in Aries at the same time. This is also in opposition to the solar eclipse we saw in Libra in the fall of last year. So last year we were planting seeds revolving around relationships, partnership dynamics. Now we see a solar eclipse in opposition to that. So it's not so much about who we are together. It's who are we personally on an individual level. That's getting worked out right now during some of the retrogrades. And as you guys know, with eclipses, they're wild cards. Something is kind of coming into our life. Something is going out. This is the bookend eclipse to the lunar eclipse we saw in Virgo a few weeks ago. And I'm predicting a bold new beginning. And I think it's with a karmic twist because obviously there's so many retrogrades happening in the sign of Aries. At least here we have a better idea of how we move forward. We'll be using April to kind of better strategize and plan and initiate new things. Now, while Mercury is retrograde, it's now also going to be meeting with Neptune very similarly to the Venus-Neptune conjunction at 29 degrees. So this is where imagination really blends with reality. Now, it can be very potent for dreams, meditation, divination, readings, messages from the other side. But for some of us, we're going to feel like we're losing our minds. Mental health challenges can come up for some people, sleep issues, as well as drug or substance abuse. So you want to be really mindful of that. Some people are not going to be able to handle this particular retrograde conjunction very well. So we want to communicate, be sensitive, be understanding, empathic, but put ourselves in our psychic bubble so we're not absorbing some of the crazy. And then finally, we're going to see Neptune entering into Aries. And this is very significant, guys. 0 degrees of Aries is the cardinal point, and it is the kind of turning point, I guess I would say, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, for where we initiate the spring equinox. But this is about a brand new beginning. Mercury's retrograde over this degree, Venus is retrograde over this degree, and soon, in the month of May, Saturn will hit it as well. For many of us, you're going to see that this is a brand new beginning in the area of Aries in your chart, where you have to be bold. You also have to be intentional with Neptune being there. Yes, for some of us, it can cloud things, but I feel like it's so much easier to navigate than in Pisces, where we feel lost and confused. Now it's going to be about our own personal beliefs, our own personal mission, and how we can connect to something bigger than ourselves. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I will also take you through the 12 rising signs at the end of this video and tell you where Neptune is ingressing in your chart. I also touch on this in my horoscopes, and I think I did a previewing Neptune in Aries video, and we will do a lot of it because we're actually going to see in 2025, Saturn and Neptune are going to bounce in and out of this sign. So we're going to get like a sneak peek of it basically here in March, and it's going to kind of hang around until the fall. And I'm very, very curious to see what this brings because the retrogrades seem to be kind of forebringers of, little snippets of what this Neptune in Aries transit is going to look like. So on Neptune and Aries, hold on to your hats, guys, because I feel like the planet of dreams, illusions, and spiritual transcendence is now stepping into a fiery cardinal sign. This is all about being a fearless pioneer, right? Aries is the first. They are here to strike the match, to initiate something. And on March 30th, we're going to see this ingress taking place. Now, for all of us, this is a once-in-a-lifetime transit. We actually have not seen this happen since 1861 to about 1874, and it's here to really shake up the collective tribe until March of 2039. Now, we will see a brief retrograde, like I said, this fall. It will retrograde back into Pisces from about October until January of 2026. But 2025 is the year where we get snippets of what 2026 is going to be bringing us. Now, I guess you guys are probably wondering, what does Neptune represent, right? I mean, planets can represent so many different things, but in a nutshell, Neptune is all about dissolving and breaking down boundaries, right? Between each other, between realms, also when it comes to kind of dissolving things and removing stuff. But it also is about inspiring visions. It's about creativity and spiritual awakenings. Yes, it can bring confusion. That is the truth. It can bring issues with escapism or delusion if we're not grounded. But keep in mind, now it's in a cardinal sign. So it's going to be about us taking action and moving towards our dreams. We just have to be able to see things clearly. Now, in Aries, I feel like Neptune's more kind of misty waters are meeting a fiery spark. So it's about blending idealism with bold action. I'm anticipating this is going to be bringing a surge in visionary leaders, spiritual warriors, and movements that fight for unity through individuality. For those who it's going to be affecting the most, obviously, if you have anything that's going to be around 28 to 29 degrees of Pisces, you guys will still be feeling the conjunctions, although it will be out of your sign, as well as 0 to about 3 degrees of Aries, sun, moon, rising, or personal planets. You'll be under a Neptune transit. Equally, 0 to about 3 degrees of the cardinal signs. So Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, you guys are going to be feeling the effects of this as well, either through a square or through an opposition. And I think you guys are going to be feeling this shift pretty intensely, as with anyone who has really strong Pisces or Neptune energy in their chart. They're going to be feeling a push to assert their dreams. Now, Neptune is the modern day ruler of Pisces. So certainly Pisces and Pisces risings are going to feel the effects specifically around resources, personal values, money, and your self-esteem. But the themes here with this transit are identity through spirituality, how you can identify with something or someone bigger than you. This is the courage to dream big. This is also about dissolving our ego illusions and pioneering new realities. For the pros for this transit, I feel like it's all about inspired action. We have been preparing for this throughout the last 2 years with the North Node in Aries and some retrogrades recently to kind of kick up some of the dust and getting us ready to really dream in a new direction. I also feel like this is great for a collective urge to break free from outdated systems, to become more self-sufficient, independent, physically active, and bold. However, we can see cons with Neptune transits. It's very much a reality. We have to kind of face the music head on with Neptune and Aries. This is also going to bring up some kind of risks of like fanaticism. People becoming possessed with the ideas of something and like acting out on it, and they can be very kind of combative. We can see lots of issues with reckless idealism and people justifying some of their actions and their behaviors because they believe that it's right or it's the right path. And obviously we can lose touch with practicality. We can be a little risky and impulsive and not see ourselves or other people so clearly. Now, for events that I'm anticipating throughout this transit, we're going to see some revolutionary art. We're going to see some new trends in art in cinema, theater, as well as music. I'm anticipating spiritual awakenings being tied to personal freedom and isolation. So individuals deciding that, it's not necessarily about going to church. Maybe it's going to be about working out, spending time alone, being in nature. I think that there's going to be a huge emphasis on moving through any issues when it comes to personal spiritual beliefs. And obviously confusion around identity or leadership is going to be coming up. So think like warriors in a fog, right? Or swinging swords of inspiration. That's really what this is going to kind of be about. And like I said, we're going to get a sneak peek of it here for like the better part of the next several months before it retrogrades back into Pisces. Now, for the week ahead, we're going to be taking a look at March 23rd through the 30th of 2025. So if you guys are watching on Sunday, happy Sunday to my Sunday crew. Hope you guys are doing well. You're getting a little taste of some of this tension that I was talking about between Mars and Chiron. And to be honest with you, pretty much all week long, Mars is sitting at 21 degrees, okay? And then it's going to bump up to 22, and it's still going to continue to square Chiron. So you don't need to wait for the exact square to feel it. You're going to be feeling the impacts of that all week. Now, if you're watching on Sunday, the moon's in Capricorn, so you're probably having the Sunday blues. You're realizing you have a lot of work to kind of get back to tomorrow. Whenever the moon's in Capricorn, we have to feel kind of productive and be managing something or kind of taking care of business. And right off the bat this morning, the moon is starting to come into an opposition with Mars and a square with Chiron. So this is a cardinal T-square. So if you've got anything 20 to 22 degrees of the cardinal signs, be aware, be advised. There can definitely be a little bit of tension that's going on today. So with that moon square Chiron in Aries in opposition to Mars in Cancer, I feel like there is some kind of tension between what we need on an individual level versus what we got to do for work and what we're responsible for versus what's kind of going on the home front. So the week kicks off with this very intense cardinal T-square. And I feel like with the moon in Capricorn, it's about ambition, right? So maybe we're feeling like we're being pulled between ambition and our emotional defenses, Mars in Cancer. And then there is this kind of raw vulnerability that comes through with the square to Chiron in Aries. And I feel like it's kind of like a cosmic tug of war that's going on. You're going to be asking yourself on Sunday, do I push forward? Do you protect your heart or do you heal old wounds? And I think that at least by the evening, as we're starting to see the moon continue to go through Capricorn, the moon's going to start coming into a trine with Uranus once it gets out of the T-square. So the T-square is going to be pretty active actually in the evening, okay? But you'll be feeling it all afternoon. And then by the evening, overnight, we're going to start seeing the moon coming into a trine with Uranus. So this is going to give us the opportunity, I think, here to kind of have like a jolt of innovation. There's going to be a sense of adjusting to whatever tension has been kind of going on. We're handling it in a little bit more of like a stable manner. I think this is going to also be about like practical breakthroughs that maybe feel like lightning strikes, and maybe through some of the tension that we've had on a personal or domestic level, we're able to kind of conquer it and go, okay, let's come up with a solution, or let's, ground our energy. Let's focus on being productive. Let's maybe work with herbs or plants or crystals or other things. So that way we're not feeling like we're so zapped from some of the cardinal squares. So your theme here, I think on Sunday is really about grounded ambition. It's going to be about that needing some kind of emotional alchemy. And it's a day to balance discipline with obviously daring change. And you don't want to get stuck in this trap, okay, of this square. You want to lean into innovation and change. You also want to lean into the fact that the moon's now starting to come into a sextile with Saturn, the North Node, and Neptune. So sometimes being productive is learning when to say, you know what, I've done enough. Sometimes part of like being a leader or, a manager is learning how to delegate tasks and learning when to take a step back and say, okay, there's only so much that I can do, because a lot of this energy with Pisces and the sextiles is about learning to let go, not trying to kind of control things, letting the cards fall where they may. All right, so let's move on now to the 24th. So this is going to be Monday when we wake up in the morning, the 24th. So you're going to see early in the morning, the moon is in the final degrees of Capricorn. So you might actually feel like really incentivized to kind of get up and get stuff done and be productive on Monday morning. And then just shortly after that, as we're getting into midday, the moon is going to ingress into Aquarius. So when the moon's in Aquarius, we're looking at Uranus. Uranus is direct. It's at 24 degrees. So maybe we're navigating some of our physical, financial, kind of worldly banking changes in a more intuitive way. And that moon is going to be heading towards a conjunction with Pluto. So that's definitely going to bring up some emotional tension. I think the positive here is that while the moon's going through Aquarius, it's going to be sextiling Venus, the sun, and Mercury in Aries. Now this moon, it's waning. We're actually getting ready to come into the solar eclipse energy. So there's this feeling of, oh, things are flushing out. They're kind of breaking down, which we will also feel with the moon conjunct Pluto. I think that moon in Aquarius is really kind of like electrifying the air, and it's linking up with Pluto, and obviously it's going to be about transformation and a deep dive into collective truths. Then we're going to see the very same day, Mercury is going to be cazimi. So the cazimi is taking place on the 24th. Watch for this late morning, kind of around midday. If you have anything 5, 4, 3 degrees of Aries, it's going to be significant. It's also significant if you're a Leo or if you're a Virgo or Gemini rising, because this involves your two ruling planets. But this is at a 4, so it's about getting in touch with our emotions, getting in touch with the past, reflecting on our home, reflecting on our family, our living situations. And I feel like with this particular cazimi, this is the halfway point through the Mercury retrograde. This is a rare alignment, and it's really about the messenger planet sitting in the heart of the sun. And the sun's exalted in Aries, so it's going to be about a moment of like some kind of personal epiphany. I feel like this is really igniting razor sharp clarity and bold ideas. And this is usually that point where we can realize, okay, what hasn't been working? What needs to change? What am I going to do about it? What is going to be my process? And remember that Mercury is connected to the South Node in Virgo. So this is going to be about a lot of people changing direction with their health, their habits, but also their schedule, their jobs. We're going to hear about a lot of layoffs that are coming up as a result of this transit, or people becoming aware that their schedule is changing, or there's a change with their team, or there's going to be a change with their office. Something like that's going to be coming up. And also maybe having some insights in regards to their own personal health, and whether that's mental or physical, and things that maybe are getting in the way that we finally need to kind of let go of. Now, also with the Sabian symbol, because this is going to be 5 degrees of Aries if we round up, the Sabian symbol is a triangle with wings. And this is really symbolizing elevated perspectives and dynamic breakthroughs. So epiphanies basically are going to soar. Your goal here, I think, between the cazimi and the fact that the moon conjuncting Pluto was saying, hey, we're going through some kind of collective purge, but we can all do it together. This is where the collective awakening and, yes, fear and emotional pressure comes up, is inspiring individuals to change, to make a change in their values, to make a change, obviously, in the way that they think, the way that they communicate. We just recently saw the Venus cazimi happening at 2 degrees. So we're already seeing a value change. Now we're kind of coming up with the process and kind of finding the words. So on on Monday, the 24th, your focus here and the theme is really going to be about mental fireworks and, some kind of revolutionary idea or thought. Speak your truth and watch it take flight. That's what you guys want to be focusing on. Now we're going to take this to Tuesday, the 25th. And you're going to see on the 25th, when we wake up in the morning, that moon's going to continue to keep going through Aquarius. So we are now going to start to see a trine to Jupiter, which definitely broadens communication, ideas, networking, socializing, traveling, learning. And we're going to see the moon that's going to be in a sextile to Chiron. But nothing's really going on with Uranus other than the fact that Saturn is now starting to come into a sextile, where if we can pause, reflect, be patient, and also be willing to release, it can create some pretty significant shifts within ourselves, within our values, our self-esteem, our money, with the planet as well. And as you guys know, Uranus and Taurus has really been a lot about volatility that's been going on in the banking system. So on the 25th, Aquarius moon and Jupiter, in a trine. I think it really kind of creates like this very breezy kind of like intellectual harmony. It's perfect for big picture brainstorming. So if you need to have like a meeting, or if you need to be having a brainstorming meeting, or if you need to be doing some writing or journaling or anything like that, it's a really good time to do it on Tuesday. It's also really good for like witty banter. So it can definitely be a time where there could be a lot of great communication and kind of just a lot of action when it comes to communities and networks online. Later in the day, we'll start seeing that moon sextile Chiron and Aries. And I feel like this can really soften wounds with the sense of like detachment, because that moon in Aquarius is allowing us to kind of take a step back and like not take things so personally. It's in an air sign. So it's a day to connect the dots and I think mend your spirit with like a more cool-headed vibe. Watch for the light bulb moments, opportunities for gentle healing, especially with communities, groups, or friends. Even conversations that you'll have with other people can be very insightful and personal healing. Definitely think outside of the box today, okay? Because this is about thinking and being differently and how grand ideas can kind of come from that. Now, this is going to be taking us through the day. You're not going to see too much. That moon is going to come into the sextile with Chiron in the PM hours. And then we're going to keep moving into what is going to be Wednesday, the 26th. And when we wake up on Wednesday, the moon's still in Aquarius, and it's very early in a square with Uranus. Okay, so if you're waking up, if you're an early riser, you're going to feel that. Certainly the moon in Aquarius coming into a square with its ruler, while Venus is the dispositor of Uranus and it's retrograde at a 0, does make me feel like there could be some market instability, especially with like the moon square Uranus. It's like how people are reacting, and it can be connected to like crypto, tech stocks, anything like that, and some kind of financial pressure that's going on, especially as we're seeing Venus coming back and hitting that 0-degree point, that there is going to be some like critical things that are coming up revolving around that. Now, on the 26th, we're going to see, like I said, Venus hitting the cardinal point. It retrogrades back into Pisces later on. We will see in the afternoon on the 26th that the Mars-Chiron square is going to be exact. So it's been brewing pretty much since this last week, where, any actions or directions that we're taking with our home, our living situation, our families, our emotions, the past, has been definitely bringing up a lot of personal self-healing themes, or where we're feeling conflicted, or where we're feeling isolated or separate. So when we put this all together, the moon square Uranus tells me that there is definitely some restless energy first thing in the morning on Wednesday. And I'm just expecting like surprises or really kind of craving freedom. And then with Venus hitting that 0-degree point before retreating back into Pisces and hitting degrees that she's hit previously in this last month, it's really hinting at unfinished romantic or creative business, unfinished or unfulfilled financial transactions. Then we're going to see Mars coming into a square with Chiron. This is going to be peaking because it's going to be exact, and it's really dredging up emotional triggers. And this is tied to courage-related matters. My advice for you guys with Mars in a square with Chiron, especially because Mars is the dispositor of Chiron and all of these planets, is we have to deal with issues head on, right? We have to. I know we don't want to do that. I know it's scary. I know with some of these retrogrades, some of you guys are asking yourselves, am I being selfish? Am I being impatient? Am I being mean? Am I rushing this? Am I ready? And the truth is, Aries does not give a shit about whether or not it's ready, okay? All it cares about is just getting started. You don't need to know the process yet. You don't need to know the end game. You don't need to have a plan. You just need to know what is going to be the best thing for you. And remember that Venus being at this degree is saying we have to learn to put ourselves first. We have to put our oxygen mask on first. So as this particular transit is setting up, deal with these problems head on. Be mindful that other people are going to be a little bit more direct and bold about what they want and what they need. Later in the afternoon, thank goddess, the moon is going to slip into Pisces, and this is going to soften some of the edges of what can feel like some very intense exchanges that we're having earlier in the day. Now the moon's going to pop into Aries around the into Pisces around the mid-afternoon. So things will cool off a little bit, but right when the moon changes signs, Mars is still in the square with Chiron. So maybe if there is some tension, in the evening, we're reflecting on it and we're kind of looking at, okay, what could we have or should we have said or done better? Maybe we are trying not to start an argument or a fight. We're trying to kind of think about stuff before we make any moves. My advice for you guys on Wednesday is, there you're going to see rebellion. You're going to see somebody who's going to kind of go against the grain. You're going to see some people that are going to be popping off and being kind of combative, but I would advise you guys to reflect. Focus on whatever is coming up. There could be some raw wounds that are showing up in your life right now. And rather than fighting back, it's time to take a step back and kind of go, okay, what do I need to deal with? What do I need to work on personally? Ride the waves of disruption. And I really feel like it's going to be, with that moon going into Pisces, a lot of emotional depth that we're kind of having to kind of swim through. Now, this will then take us into the 27th of March, which will be Thursday. And I want to remind you guys that when the moon is in Pisces now, we are in a dark moon phase. So we are in the last sign before we come into the solar eclipse in Aries. And when we have this, people are crabby, okay? People are a little agitated and annoyed. They want to be left alone. We're supposed to be quieting down and kind of clearing out and preparing for the new moon. Now, with the moon in Pisces, it's happy to do that. It likes to have its extra time to sleep, rest, meditate, do its thing. The moon obviously is ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. So we've got two things that are going to be going on the 27th. One is that the moon in Pisces will square off with Jupiter. Bigger emotions, bigger feelings, more sensitive, especially to new ideas, communications, travel, and learning. So we could be feeling a little bit more reflective. And simultaneously, this is the day that we see Venus retrograde back into Pisces, more emotional, sensitive, creative, dreamy, karmic also, and it's going to be at 29. So for those of you guys who are painters, artists, mystics, musicians, photographers, cinematographers, anything like that, you guys will love this energy for about 48 hours because Moon, Saturn, North Node, Neptune, Pisces, Venus and Pisces, all that stuff is just very dreamy, whimsical, magical, very inspired. Other people are going to look at this and they're going to go, what the hell is going on? Things are melting down. Why are people being so crazy? Why is this suddenly ending? What's changing? Why am I not hearing back from someone? And it's going to be like doom spiral. So with this many planets in Pisces, know that not everything is what it seems. This is also the beginning of the end. We are now seeing some major conclusions and completions with Venus coming into conjunction with Neptune. So certain facades in relationships are falling away. Certain financial situations that were not reliable are falling away. But Pisces is also miracles. Pisces is also about whatever is going on kind of in the ethers, in the spirit world. And it can be really saying that there can be profound miracles and positive shifts and like guardian angel moments that can happen. Long story short, do your meditations, take time to process, take baths, be in water, put your bubble up because the 27th and the 28th is going to feel like crazy town. What you guys are going to want to watch for though is that moon in Pisces, it brings up dreams, maybe daydreams, maybe actual dreams, and they're going to seem very exaggerated, or there is going to be this feeling of big emotions with the square to Jupiter. Keep your feet on the ground. Now that Venus retrograde, I feel like is really, on one hand, it can be very, very romantic, weaving a spell of like ethereal love, nostalgia, as well as like creative bliss. But I feel like this is a cosmic swoon fest. And yes, it's perfect for art, romance, or losing yourself in fantasy. But this can also be a time where there's some major scams, there's some major conspiracies, there's some stuff that is starting to kind of unfold in regards to, mistruths out in the world, especially anything connected to Taurus-related things. So bonds, banking, property, maybe even like real estate related things, because the moon is going to be going through here as well. Basically on Thursday, the 27th, watch for the dreamy excess, stay hydrated, do something creative, take time to kind of reflect or get some extra rest. I'm anticipating lots of soulful connections with Venus conjunct Neptune, and give you guys a little bit of a pass on this day to really just like let your heart swim in some of like the cosmic stuff that's kind of going on. Now, this is going to take us into Friday, and on Friday, we are going to be seeing the 28th. There you go. Lots of things are going to start happening now, all right? So this is where the energy is really going to kind of start to peak. We wake up first thing in the morning. That moon is still in Pisces, where we are dreaming, mystical, magical, reflecting, but also we can be feeling like, oh my God, things are dissolving or things are breaking down. And the moon is going to come into conjunction with the North Node, Saturn, Venus retrograde, and Neptune this day. Okay, this is some unreal astrology right here. Well, what can I say? Friday, I can see a lot of people who are like drinking, partying, having a good time, wanting to just have a great bottle of wine, good music, good company. And that's not necessarily a bad way to spend moon coming into conjunction with, North Node and Neptune and Venus. But I could also see other people feeling like certain relationships or financial situations are at like a tipping point. Now, we're also going to see Mars in Cancer, okay? He's now coming out of the square with Chiron, so we're moving away from some of that wounding. The moon's going to trine Mars. That's a passionate aspect. We're also going to see Mars is still in a sextile with Uranus. So we've got a lot of Pisces to Taurus, Taurus to Cancer. I like this for like staying in, having dinner, having a date night, kind of spa night, whatever, at home vibe. That's just me personally. So depending on how you guys want to spend your Friday night, I think that you'd be a lot better off doing it this way. Otherwise, with Venus conjunct Neptune, we could see a lot of people who are feeling like they're not hearing back from the person they want. They're not getting what they want out of a relationship. And late degrees of Pisces definitely produces a lot of emotions and a lot of tears. So what do you guys need to know about this? Well, a stellium in Pisces basically creates a karmic crescendo. Everything is meeting with the North Node, which is about our destiny, our dharma. And that triple conjunction, which will be happening with the moon, Venus, and Neptune, will all be at 29 degrees. So you're actually going to see this later in the day, 29, around 2 p.m. Central Time. So that's going to be around noon on the Pacific Coast. That's going to be around 3 p.m. on the East Coast. Boy, oh boy, my question is, what is going on with the markets on Friday, right before the close? What's going to happen? All of this is being connected to Jupiter. Jupiter's at a Gemini degree, so there's going to be a lot of talking heads and people discussing and talking about some major changes going on, maybe with technology, with travel, with car companies, with chip companies. And Pisces is also about water. So it's things revolving and relating to water. So I'm thinking storms, Navy bases, flooding, anything in regards also to a major person. Venus, Neptune can be a famous woman, a singer, an actress, and some news that's kind of coming up in the media about this person. Now, we're going to take it a step further. The triple conjunction is all at 29 degrees, so the Sabian symbol for that would actually be 30. So this is a majestic rock forming a face, and this is about timeless wisdom and spiritual legacy. I think this plus the balsamic moon phase is basically saying that it's setting the stage for the eclipse. What's about to be eclipsed out? Look at how many planets the moon has to hit before it gets to the solar eclipse. Saturn, karmic boundaries, North Node dissolving, Moon, which is going to be about emotional clearings in love and relationships with Venus, Neptune, issues with deception or clarity, or maybe this is about moving beyond superficial love and, giving selflessly or closing out certain soulmate or karmic contracts. And then it's got to hit Mercury. Oh, and then by the way, we're going to see Mercury return back at 0 degrees of Aries, the cardinal point. So this is about a huge turning point and a reckoning and a realization, not just for the collective, but for individuals, where all of this kind of mashup and kind of unfolding that's going on in Pisces is going to have a very significant impact on people physically, financially, emotionally. And we're going to see then the moon come into Aries, and it's setting the stage for the solar eclipse. So this is all happening Friday. What the heck is going on Friday? Friday is a crazy day. Moon goes into Aries, comes into conjunction with Mercury in the early evening hours, which means our mind is on speaking out, communicating, getting the word out, initiating something. All of this is ruled by Mars. Mars is still in Cancer, dealing with domestic home things, home security, homeland security, and it's in a square at 22. 22 is a government Capricorn-oriented degree. It can also be connected to long-standing issues that people have been having with family, karmic blockages, ancestral issues, and where individuals are kind of waking up saying, like, that doesn't have to be my storyline. I don't have to continue, and have some of the issues I've always had in the past, or some of the issues that maybe my mother had or my father had, or I don't have to kind of have those dynamic issues with my family or my kids or my relationship. Huge moment for personal awareness and an epiphany there. And then we're getting ready to kind of come into what is going to be a solar eclipse, which won't be happening until Saturday. So on Friday, karmic closure, fiery rebirth, releasing the old, igniting the new. If you guys really want to start something new, like if you're like, I want to shed old skin, I want to let go of old habits, I want to heal myself, I want to stop getting hung up on, old relationship issues or karmic blockages or even financial issues or insecurities, this is the time to be like, I'm going to let it all go, right? And then you wait to set your intentions after what will be the solar eclipse, because with Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, Mars in a square to Chiron, we don't really get that fresh start until we're willing to break with the past, and we're willing to say, okay, we're going to let it be there, so then we can truly begin again. Neptune goes into Aries, right? We really get clear about our vision. Saturn comes into Aries. We figure out what's best for us, and we're going to be a little bit more fierce and independent. Wow, wow, wow. Friday is quite the day. This leads us into Saturday. I'm looking at this going I'm so happy I took the weekend off. Now I know why I blocked this off about 6 months ago. And then we're going to go into what's going to be the 29th. Okay, so here we go. So this is going to be the solar eclipse. Solar eclipse will be at 9 degrees exactly, okay, Aries. So if you have anything 8, 9, 10 degrees of Aries, sun, moon, rising, personal planet, or a node, you're in the line of fire. Equally, the cardinal signs, pay attention to that. If you guys haven't seen my video on the solar eclipse in Aries, I put it out a couple weeks ago. You guys should check it out. We've got the solar eclipse, which is at a 9, so it's a Sagittarius degree. So it's about a new beginning when it comes to individual beliefs, philosophies, what we're learning, where we're traveling. It is going to be about new cycles for trade, because Sagittarius deals with international import and export, which you will see in April. By the end of April, you're going to realize how much is changing with that, and who's, issuing tariffs on who, and who's trading where, and who's moving to which country, to go and build and develop or produce. You'll see. And then we're going to see Mars is the ruler of this, which, as you guys know, is still in a square to Chiron, now at a 22. So it's going to be more about business, long-standing goals, responsibilities, especially if you're somebody who's like, I've been wanting to move, or I've been wanting to finally buy a house, sell a house, if I've been wanting to start a family, if I've been wanting to start my own home business. This solar eclipse is really projecting that forward, and it's allowing you to do that as long as you can kind of come up with a plan. Remember, Mercury is still retrograde and it's combust. So Mercury is kind of still on fire because it's so close to the sun, that there is definitely a little bit of mental tension and still trying to figure out which path we're going to take and how to find the right words. And I think we're pacing ourselves through these retrogrades in Aries, so we're not acting impulsively and burning things down. At least that's been my perspective. Anyway, bold Aries solar eclipse. We have got the Sabian symbol for this is a crystal gazer. So this is really ushering in some kind of vision for a new beginning, and it's tied to identity and action. And it's literally about when things go haywire and stuff's crazy in the world, people are going to be turning to psychics and astrologers and being like, what's happening? It's ruled by Mars in Cancer, so it's emotionally charged. But I think that the positive here is that it is in a trine to Saturn. So that's going to provide discipline. It's sextile Uranus, so there's going to be innovation. Yes, it's emotionally charged, but I think it's more so grounded. And you guys might want to just kind of keep in mind with Mercury and Venus retrograde, the solar eclipse is around the degrees which both Mercury and Venus started their retrograde. One was at 9, one was at 10. So it's kind of saying, hey, this is a cosmic redo. If you've been having issues getting the show on the road with something in the area of Aries in your chart, now you have that opportunity. Now you have that chance to reclaim your power here. But yes, Mercury combust amplifies the mental heat. Watch for burnout. Take it easy on Saturday. Yes, you're going to have an opportunity here for courageous new horizons, but we want to be planting seeds in thoughtful, planned, considerate ways for the future. And we can't really make solid plans or commitments, or we can't really think clearly with just so much stuff that's getting kind of shaken out, I think, with some of the retrogrades. Maybe this is just more that moment where you're like, okay, now I know I can't do this anymore. This isn't working. What I've been doing, I have to do something different. And as Mercury and Venus retrograde back into Pisces, you marinate on that a little bit. You think about it. How can I heal it? How can I reflect on some of the stuff that's coming up? So that way I'm not kind of like rushing through stuff or making some of the same mistakes. Okay. Finally, we get to Sunday. And Sunday is going to be another day that you're going to see some things that are going to be kind of getting kicked up. Remember that the solar eclipse is felt until the moon leaves Aries, okay? And this is a solar eclipse. Actually, it'll kind of kick for a while. We will see Mars go into Libra later this year in a opposite degree. We're going to see Saturn and Mars in 2026 come into conjunction at this degree. And yeah, it's going to go for the next year. But very early in the morning on the 30th, you're going to see on Sunday, the moon is going to conjunct Chiron. So I know we have people all over the world. You have to adjust your time zones if you have that. So maybe if you live in other parts of the world and you're like, hey, it's the afternoon for me, be mindful that there is like a second gut punch with moon coming into conjunction with Chiron first thing on Sunday, where there can be emotional wounds that are coming up. And it's personal, it's in Aries, and then it comes into a square with Mars. So this is like the second, I guess, phase, or like the second wind that you're going to see from the solar eclipse, where there is going to be maybe some tension maybe that we're having with people in our home, roommates, neighbors, or noticing more tension with parents, with family. Maybe we feel more assertive when it comes to handling or navigating home or domestic things, reorganizing, do-it-yourself projects, cooking, cleaning, all that stuff. So we're going to see the moon conjunct Chiron in the early morning and then square Mars in Cancer. Now, Mercury is now retrograde back into Pisces. So in the same way that Venus went retrograde earlier in the week and it was reassessing relationships, karma, love, values, now Mercury is here, the mind, right? Traveling, business, contracts, and it's also conjunct Neptune. So it's like, what the heck is going on? All of these are still in similar degrees, 29, 29, 28, 27. So it is kind of saying like we're still working through some of the stuff that's been happening over the last few weeks, where we've been reassessing how we can love something better, how we can communicate better. Mercury does not do well in Pisces, unfortunately. It's kind of like answering a phone call in a pool, right? You're not going to hear anything. It's going to kind of frizzle out. So this is where it's hard to find the words, but it can be great for dreams and meditation and divination and reflection. So basically, the eclipse vibes are going to really linger as that Aries moon is stirring some Chiron wounds and clashing with Mars's emotional kind of crabby nature. Mercury meets with Neptune. Blurring thoughts, not a great day for contracts, communications, or trying to make sense of things. Yes, it can have like a poetic haze, but I also feel like this can be creating some issues in relationships where there's some misunderstandings or miscommunications about money, about work schedule, right? There could also be bad habits and things, mental habits, drinking, drugs, other things that can be causing issues in relationships as well, as Mercury and Venus are close by in a Neptunian sign. Now we're going to see the moon enter into Taurus later in the day, where it generally likes to be. And that usually will stabilize some of this stuff, but I don't think you're going to get that, unfortunately, on Sunday evening, because the moon is going to be ruled by Venus, and Venus is retrograde conjunct Mercury, where it's like, why am I not hearing back from that person? What's going on? Why are they ghosting me? Where have they been? Very close to the North Node and Saturn as well. Guys, this is where stuff kind of dissolves and things separate and they break off. And like, even though we don't want to let something go, if we love something, or if we know that it's what's best for us or what's best for the other person, or even just anybody involved, we have to release it. So I don't think you're going to have that same effect of, moon's in Taurus, things are very pleasant. Not only because Mercury and Venus are conjunct, where there's issues with matters of the heart and mind, but they're both retrograde. Then you're going to see the moon come into a square with Pluto. So as the moon's coming into a square with Pluto, this is testing our stability. This is testing our strength. This is testing our resources, maybe our self-esteem. Obviously, Venus conjunct the North Node, which is kind of leading into Monday. It is whispers of destined love, and Neptune going into Aries, obviously, the same day, which is ruled by Mars, and Mars is still in the square to Chiron, is really about saying, you know what, things aren't going to make sense. Yes, maybe we are going to be feeling like we've been isolated or we're on our own in some capacity, or we need to figure something out on our own. But it's what needs to happen. It's part of the plan, right? Woof. Starting a 14-year cycle, basically, of baptism by fire, total spiritual rebirth and complete rebooting and restarting for humanity. So the theme on Sunday is about healing with heat. It can also mean that there is visionary new beginnings, feeling the burn, and then building your dream. You guys might want to go back and you want to listen to maybe your March horoscopes, and listen to when Venus was going in and out of, Pisces into Aries, or Mercury was going in and out of Pisces into Aries. And you want to go and look at the last time that these planets were here, because it's deja vu. But it's wanting the collective to kind of work through this. And some things that can help in Pisces is being by water, soaking, staying hydrated, listening to music, painting, meditating, anything that's going to be more of a spiritual, divine nature. Prayer will work wonders this week with some of these transits. Wonders. So it's really what's going to kind of get us through. And if you guys listen to the horoscopes, you guys hear how I talk about how within the first half of April, we're going to see Mercury and Venus go direct. And we're going to start kind of seeing things a little bit more clearly when it comes to our relationships and what path we're going to take forward. So that's the week, guys. I'm going to show you where Neptune is moving through the 12 rising signs. I did talk about this briefly during the horoscopes, but I have a feeling we're going to talk about this quite a bit because obviously we're going to have this transit in our skies for the next several months. So maybe I'll do like a deeper dive once we've had Neptune in Aries for a little bit, maybe get some feedback from you guys about how you're navigating and feeling with these transits. One thing that I would say that you guys might want to watch for with Neptune being in Aries, and the fact that, Mars is the ruler square Chiron. I think if you live in areas that could be severely impacted by rain or flooding, storms or weather, I would be paying attention. I also think that you're going to see a lot of people that are going to be moving because of some of these storms and some of these issues. I think that you're going to see some people who have been in areas that have been affected by storms and flooding start the process on their own of like rebuilding or remodeling things. So give me feedback. Let me know how you guys are dealing with that. But I'm hoping that there isn't this expected almost. When a planet crosses 0 degrees of a cardinal sign, especially Aries, it's with a bang. So I'm touching wood right now that we don't see some like major kind of issue with flooding of some sort, but we'll see what happens. All right. I'm going to be starting with Aries and Aries rising. As you guys know, I'm a Western astrologer, so I'm going to be using the Western whole sign method. You can listen to your whole sign because this is going to be at 0 degrees of Aries. It will most likely apply to you. I recommend listening to your rising sign first and seeing exactly where Neptune is ingressing in your chart and what it means. Then you can listen to your sun sign, how that impacts your joy, your career, your identity, and also your moon sign to see how that's impacting you emotionally. I've got themes, predictions, and tips for all 12 of the signs. All right, so for my Aries and Aries risings, well, guys, you have really been on the hot seat for the better part of the last month. Retrogrades in your sign, Neptune preparing to come into your sign, and Neptune is the ruler of your 12th house of self-undoing. The subconscious things are hidden, stuff that is behind the scenes. So as Neptune comes into your sign this week, if you are 0 to about 3 degrees of Aries, you're going to be feeling the effects of it right off the bat. The theme here is really about spiritual self-discovery. And I think with Neptune entering your first house, it's in a way like dissolving old masks, and it's really igniting a quest for your truest identity. Granted, you might still feel like you're trying to figure that out in the midst of retrogrades and eclipses. The 12th house is also about spirituality, meditation, foreign lands, hospitals, mental institutions, isolation. Okay, so Mercury, Venus retrograde in your sign, solar eclipse in your sign, take care of your health. You don't want to be in a situation where if you're not getting adequate rest, you're stressed out, you have an accident or something, you wind up in a hospital. That can happen for some of you guys. But I think the positive of this transit is that you're going to feel this magnetic pull to kind of like redefine yourself. It can be through art, it can be through spirituality, or just some kind of bold new look. Maybe some of you guys are going to be, debuting a little bit more of like a bohemian look, a little bit more of like a mermaid look. Some of you guys are going to be having confusion about who you are, and it might spark like this spiritual kind of warrior phase for you. And I'm expecting like major visionary moments, even if you do feel like you're having a bit of like an identity crisis. Now, for tips, I would say embrace the blur, right? Some of you guys might be like, I'm using a filter, I'm going to be using different makeup, I'm going to be, dressing differently. That could be Neptune. Definitely journal your dreams and trust your intuition, let it guide you, and avoid rushing into impulsive reinventions without reflection, especially in the midst of a Mercury to Venus retrograde, especially in the midst of solar eclipses. Let's let this energy die down a little bit, and you can make some more thorough decisions in about a month's time. Good luck. We have got Taurus and Taurus rising. What's up, Taurus? We are going to be seeing Neptune entering into the sign of Aries in your natal 12th house of the subconscious, private life, behind the scenes, spirituality, self-undoing. And obviously, Neptune rules your 11th house of groups, allies, anything to do with your networking, your goals, and your dreams. So truth be told, Neptune does very well in this house. This is where it's at home. So it's all about like a mystical kind of like inner world. Neptune swimming around in the 12th house can really deepen your subconscious, your spiritual life, as well as your practice. I'm predicting for you guys, dreams, psychic hunches, and past life vibes can intensify, especially having dreams revolving around war or combat or conflict. That is not uncommon now, that is in the sign of the warrior. Yes, you can retreat a little bit more, and you can be craving solitude or creative escapes. You might be feeling a little sleepy or daydreamy. Just watch for escapist tendencies like overindulging in comfort. I think grounding is key. I'd love to see my Taurus and Taurus risings doing some hot yoga, doing some sun salutations, working out in a private gym. Anything that's going to be this combination of spirituality and also fitness would be really wonderful for you. Or some of you guys are just going to be deciding you're setting up a meditation space. Maybe you are going to be, creating a private workspace. Maybe you're just reorganizing or reworking your bedroom. That could be something else that you're doing as well. I recommend for tips, just meditate or try sound baths maybe to channel this energy and set boundaries to protect your peace. That way you're really able to kind of get more so in touch with some of these soul messages that are going to be coming in. Good luck. We've got Gemini and Gemini rising. What's up, Gemini? You're going to be seeing Neptune entering into the sign of Aries, and this will be in your natal 11th house. All right, so for you guys, Neptune is connected to your career, your professional life, your work, your status, or how you're known out in the world, right? What you're known for. So with Neptune going into your 11th house, the theme here is really going to be about dreamy connections. Now, this could be work connections and networking. This could be friends. With Neptune gracing your 11th house, it's infusing friendships and goals with a sense of inspiration, but fiery inspiration. You want to be around other entrepreneurs. You want to be around movers and shakers. Maybe you are seeking to go to a group meditation class. Maybe you want to connect with other artists or other mystics. I predict that your social circle is just going to attract a much more kind of eclectic, eccentric kind of vibe. You're going to be seeing visionaries, and I feel like this is about finding your soul tribe. Now, group projects can feel a little idealistic, but also vague. And I would just say if there's any work group things that you're having to do, you have to clarify your role in the matter. What are you in charge of? What is your purpose? What are you working on? What are your goals? And I feel like you might find a cause worth fighting that's going to be emerging at some point throughout this transit. Now, I recommend collaborating with dreamers, but double check the details. Maybe you feel like you've got a friend that's going through some challenges. Maybe they're feeling kind of ghosty, or maybe they're dealing with something that they're not really communicating very well. You can help others by using your words to inspire. So your ideas can very much help somebody out of a funk or spark a movement. Good luck, Gemini. We've got Cancer and Cancer rising. What's up, Cancer? You have Neptune going into Aries in your natal 10th house. And if you are 0 to about 3 degrees, you're going to be feeling this the most. You'll be under a Neptune square. And truth be told, anybody who's got the early degrees of the cardinal signs are going to be feeling this. It's not just in your 10th house, it's squaring your ascendant and it's changing how you see yourself, squaring your descendant, how you see relationships, and opposing your 4th house IC, which can be definitely pulling you out of the house and into some new destined direction with your career. Now, the theme here is about your visionary ambition, all right? Neptune is about your faith, your philosophy, your belief system, your higher education, travel, teachers, mentors, gurus, higher education, certifications, and training. So when it's in the 10th house, your ambition in regards to your perspective, your dreams for your career is going to definitely light up like a Christmas tree. Now Neptune is crowning your chart in the 10th house, and it's blending career with, legacy and spiritual purpose. I think that's really what this is about in the 10th house. So I'm predicting that your professional path might shift towards a more creative or kind of like healing field. Think it could be artist, it could be healer, it could be advocate, it could be teacher, it could be lawyer, professor, anything like that as you kind of blend Neptune's like 9th house connections. Fame can also come for some of you guys in a very mysterious way, but be aware of unclear goals or burnout. Whether or not you can actually see some of these projects through is something that you want to ask yourself, especially in the midst of some of these retrogrades and eclipses. My advice for you guys is dream big, but map out your steps. That's really important to have clarity with your vision, with your career. You're still in the middle of working that out, but I feel like right now you can definitely showcase your sensitivity. It's definitely your superpower throughout this transit. Good luck, Cancer. We've got Leo and Leo rising. Leo, you're going to be experiencing Neptune's transit through the sign of Aries in your natal 9th house. And this is in a fellow sister fire sign. So if you have anything 0 to 3 degrees of Leo, sun, moon, or rising, you're benefiting from this transit as you will be under a trine. Now, Neptune is connected to your 8th house of karmic entanglement, taxes, rebirth, psychological matters, healing. This is also about other people's money, debts, loans, things like that. So with Neptune going into your 9th house, this is a quest for higher truth. This is all about Neptune igniting your 9th house, expanding your mind as well as your spirit. You might have the travel bug suddenly, you're trying to figure out how or where you can kind of get to where you want to go, or how you can be funding your trips or your education. Certainly, I predict wanderlust and philosophical awakenings that are happening for you. Travel, study, or teach from the heart. That's really what this is going to be about. Maybe making money that way or getting some kind of funding or loans to be able to do more of this. Just watch out for idealizing gurus or certain beliefs. Stay discerning and know that a creative project could gain global wings. I would advise you to just explore boldly. Take a class or a pilgrimage somewhere. You might decide to do it alone. Ground your vision with Leo's fiery confidence, the way that I know that you will. And I'm really excited to see what this manifests for you guys. Some of you guys are going to be settling lawsuits, getting money. Some of you guys are going to be publishing a book, teaching a class, and you're going to realize that it's opening up a door to be bringing in some kind of resource that you never thought you had access to before. Good luck. We've got Virgo and Virgo rising. What's going on, Virgo? You're going to be experiencing Neptune's ingress into Aries in your natal 8th house. Well, for you guys, this is an interesting one because Neptune rules your relationships, okay? So just as like an example here, the 5th house is about dating, getting to know somebody, falling in love. 7th house is about commitment, togetherness, marriage. And the 8th house is really about that true merger. It's about sex. It's about credit scores. It is about intimacy. It's about vulnerability. It's about fear. So where you think you kind of got to know somebody and you committed to somebody, now that real merger, that blending is really starting to kind of happen here. In the 7th house ruler in connection to the 8th house, this is about deep transformation of relationships to others, to a new therapist. It could be to a financial advisor. It could be about your vulnerability kind of getting exposed a little bit, as Neptune diving into your 8th house is going to be about tackling some of these more sensitive matters in relationships or joint finances, or things that are unseen as well. That's definitely another theme in the 8th house. I predict that relationships can definitely deepen, and especially with like soulmate like vibes, but boundaries can blur here. So watch for codependency. Finances tied to others, like loans, can get murky, and there can be or should have been some conversations about finances or joint finances, funding, tax related issues that have been kind of coming up recently. A mystical rebirth awaits, though, with Neptune in the eighth house. I would just say, definitely trust your gut in partnerships. You can definitely do some kind of like ritual work. You may also be doing a lot of in-depth work psychologically with a therapist or with another person. It can also be a time where journaling can be really helpful during this process, especially because it's hard to kind of gain clarity. And I also think that this can be a time where some of you guys are going to be diving deep more into like occult topics. So learning about, mysticism, rituals, magic, healing, anything kind of connected also to like Tantra, Kundalini type of things can be interesting you as well with some of the transits in the eighth house. Good luck. We've got Libra and Libra rising. What's going on, Libra? You have Neptune going into your natal seventh house of relationships, partnerships, and one-on-one connections with other people. Now, Neptune deals with your sixth house of coworkers, daily routine, health. This is also about, overcoming challenges with people who have been a bit troublesome for you recently in either the workspace or in a relationship space. Sixth house is also about healing. So as you see Neptune go into your seventh house, your relationship with some of your sixth house themes are going to be dealt with. And the seventh house isn't just about partnerships, it's about airing things out. I heard another astrologer talking about this transit recently, and they were talking about how, Neptune in the seventh, you start to kind of either glamorize or idealize someone, or you start to kind of, see through the cracks, and you see where there's been like some deception and some issues where a certain relationship has been draining you or creating some issues when it comes to your health or your habit, and that can be more obvious to you now, which I think is really true. And I also heard them talking about how they were saying this can also be a time where you're looking at certain relationships and you're realizing like who was there with you when you went through some like really difficult moments. Who was there for you when you were kind of in the trenches? And while you've been going through either some job-related issues with a pet, problems at work, issues with your health, do you have a partner or do you have a support system, whether it's a therapist, if it's a best friend, if it's a business partner, if it's a romantic partner, a spouse? Are they there for you when you go through those things? And so I think that there's a lot of truth that kind of comes through that when you're kind of going through a difficult situation, this Neptune transit is going to show you where people are there and attentive and they're there to support and help you heal, or are they absent-minded, less than honest, maybe addiction-riddled, those kinds of things can certainly be coming up as well. So for Libra rising, it is about romance and relationships. For some of you guys, Neptune is really enchanting your seventh house and it's infusing partnerships with dreamy highs as well as lows. But I'm predicting that it's relationships with more than just romantic people. It could be working with a therapist. It could be going and working with a new healthcare practitioner. It could be maybe working with a new coach or with a new trainer. These are people who can kind of come in and help you with that Aries side of things. And I predict that love can feel like a fairy tale or a mirage. New connections can be very inspiring, but take off the rose-colored glasses, Libra. Look for the red flags. Business collabs need clear contracts. I would be seeking soulful bonds, but keep one foot in reality. Communicate openly to avoid Neptune's illusions so you're not being led astray. Good luck. We've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. You're going to be experiencing Neptune transiting the sign of Aries in your natal sixth house. And as you know, Neptune rules your fifth house, which deals with romance, creativity, children, self-expression, dating, love affairs, everything that makes you happy. So Neptune going into the sixth house. All right, so this is an interesting one because you're almost in a way through the eclipses and the retrogrades, you have either been seeing where you need to be more in tune with a schedule, a routine, your health. Maybe there's things changing at work. Maybe there is a need for you to kind of get on top of your productivity or your health goals, and you want to do this in a fun way, or you are maybe making more time for hobbies, for children, creative self-expression. So, when Neptune goes into the sixth house, there is a sense of being like, how am I going to do it all, right? And you'll get the swing of it right when you start to see Saturn go in there as well. But right now, I think this is about incorporating more of creativity and flow into your daily life. It could be time for dating, time for fun, time for like artistic expression. And Neptune will be blessing your sixth house, merging work and wellness with inspiration. So I'm predicting that your routines can soften. So think like yoga, art, healing gigs over rigid schedules. Health might feel a little elusive, but you have to listen to your body. Don't go WebMDing things. This is coming from somebody who's had Neptune in my sixth house for the last 14 years. I'm fine. My health's fine. It's actually, I think, better than it has been in a very long time, but I attribute a lot of that to Saturn. It's just a lot of like needing to get out of your own way and not sabotaging your schedule and your routine. Anyway, watch for things that can also come up with pets or service. They can become spiritual outlets. Maybe you get involved in, some kind of nonprofit, or you start something and there's some kind of give back to your community in that way. And I would also say that this is a time where you want to infuse your work with passion, but don't over-sacrifice. You have to learn that rest is your secret weapon, and you have to honor it during this particular time. Hope that's helpful, Scorpio. I'll catch you here back soon. All right, we've got Sag and Sag rising. Sag, you're going to be seeing Neptune's ingress into your natal fifth house in Aries, and Neptune rules your fourth house of home, family, roots, and the past. So I actually like this transit, especially if you're like a Sag rising 0 to like 3 degrees. I think this is a nice transit for you guys, as long as you have some positive aspects going on in your chart. This is all about playful dreams, okay? So this is like where in your home base, you're now creating a craft room, or you're making time to spend more time with your children, or maybe you are designing, you're creating. The fifth house is all about sparking romance, creativity, and joy. So it might be a dream of yours to own your own house. It might be a dream of yours to have a child or have a family or start your own business. And so it's giving you the opportunity to kind of do these things. Artistic projects can soar here. So think like music, film, or any bold self-expression. Love feels very cinematic. Yes, it can blur into fantasy. So you have to kind of be mindful that certain people come in. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to stay, but certainly kids or hobbies will really inspire your spirit. I would just say as a tip for you guys, this is about creating fearlessly, letting your inner child lead, enjoying romance, but anchoring it with your Sag honesty. And I think for many of you guys, it's also going to be about creating your dream play or entertainment space. So if you need a craft room, an entertainment room, if you want to start a business that's going to be about entertainment, if you're wanting to get into painting or drawing or anything like that, you need a space maybe to be able to do that from. And you guys will have to let me know what kind of goes on with some of your kid stuff and your dating stuff, because that's definitely going to be a big one for you as well. Good luck, guys. I'll catch you back here soon. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. What's up, Capricorn? You have Neptune going into your natal fourth house of home and family and roots. So this is all about sacred roots. Now, Neptune rules your third house of communication, learning, siblings, traveling, relocation, contracts, vehicles, all that stuff, your neighborhood, and it's moving into the fourth. So you have anything 0 to 3 degrees of Capricorn, sun, moon, rising, personal planets, it's going to be squaring that. So there could be some clarity issues, some deception issues. Obviously, are you seeing things clearly with your home, with your family? Is there issues communicating maybe with certain relatives? And this is squaring relationships, work, and yourself. So for all the cardinal signs, you guys are kind of going through that for the early degrees. One thing I'll tell you is just having natal Neptune in my fourth house is that, it does show you where there is some like conspiracy stuff that can kind of come up within the family. Like somebody assumes this, they think that. There can be some stuff where there's some confusion about your ancestry or your lineage. It can also be that there is some kind of issue going on with foundation of a home or flooding issues. maybe going to a foreign land. Maybe it's about being there to help a family member or a parent. You need to keep an eye on older relatives that can have issues with dementia. But I think that it's going to be more about communication. And if you're potentially moving or traveling to a foreign land, how are you communicating with people in that space? And do you like that area? It can also be about softening your home and your family relationships or foundations. Certainly retrogrades in your third house are bringing that up. Are you reconnecting or visiting or, talking more to a relative you haven't in some time? It's all about making your home your sanctuary. Neptune is about churches and temples. So having a natal Neptune in my fourth house, something that I always do is like when I clean the house, I'll throw some oil and salt water into the floor wash. I'll burn my incense or I'll burn my sage. I'll, put on the music and kind of blast out the space. I like having altars and like things in my house as well. So it might be that you're kind of just creating your own little Zen den. I also feel like this is creating creative spaces in your home. And even though family dynamics might feel a little emotional or confusing, forgiveness can heal, and your ancestry whispers clues to how you heal that and what's kind of gone on in the past. So my tip for you guys is build your cozy heaven, reflect on the past, and Neptune's here to dissolve old burdens in home or family dynamics. Good luck. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You guys are going to be experiencing Neptune's transit in the sign of Aries in your natal third house. I think you guys are going to like this, honestly, with some of the sextiles to Pluto in your sign, especially when Saturn shows up. I think that it's going to be a whole different ballgame for Aquarius risings. Obviously, the third house is communication, siblings, writing, media, learning, cars, that kind of stuff. And Neptune is connected to your second house of money, income, personal possessions, resources, and financial security. So having Neptune go into the third house, some of you guys want to make money writing. You want to start a blog. You want to publish a course. Maybe you want to get more active online. Maybe you're learning how to voice your needs and your values better, especially with some of these retrogrades that have been happening in your second house. This is all about finding words inspirational, whether that's what you're writing, what you're meditating on, what messages you're receiving, or what you're reading. You really need to be reading or listening to someone or something that's inspirational, that's going to help you kind of build yourself up. This is all about blending the mind, communication, and community with magic. So I predict that your voice can turn poetic. Some of you guys will want to do some creative writing or be kind of voicing your emotions on paper. Whether that's writing, speaking, teaching, I think that you could really mesmerize with your words. Siblings can either be completely crazy right now, or they can be a little bit more, there for you and sensitive and empathic. Neighbors can bring soulful lessons. Just watch for scattered thoughts. There can be a sense of feeling like you lose or misplace things here sometimes, and you want to watch out for investing in cars or potentially ideas or trips, or dealing with physical purchase or transactions of money with third house people in your community can definitely be a little tricky. And communication over financial matters also with roommates or siblings can also be a little tricky here. Retrograde started in your third. So if you're thinking about moving, buying a car, buying a gadget, hold on just a second. Let's wait till Saturn shows up and make sure that you're really clear about making some of these investments, okay? Finances really, might need a little bit of clarity with this one because Neptune's connected to your second house. Tips for you guys: share your vision, start a blog, maybe a podcast, ground your ideas with structure to avoid Neptune's haze. Good luck. And last but not least, we've got Pisces and Pisces rising. What's up, Pisces? Well, one of your chart rulers is on the move, so you are Neptune or Jupiter, depending on how you look at your rulership. But for this episode, Neptune going into the second house means that you're taking a little bit more bold action when it comes to your money, resources, values, self-esteem. Certainly, Aries is like a go-getter. It's entrepreneurial and self-sufficient. So this is really about dreaming of financial abundance and financial freedom. I think Neptune flowing into your second house is going to have you redefining your worth, your money, and your values. Now, your styles can change here as well. You can take on a much more bold, athletic, or kind of just quick makeup or, personal maintenance routine. It is possible that income now can come through creative or spiritual channels. So think like artist or healer vibes. Self-worth can waver, and that's something you really want to watch out for with some of these retrogrades. But I feel like the solar eclipse is going to help you kind of set the record straight. Do not undervalue yourself or your gifts. Finances really do need clarity right now. I think this is about you getting a clear vision for what it is you want to build and achieve. And I would say trust your talents. They're gold, and you just really need to focus on budgeting wisely while Neptune is in the second house, because Neptune can blur your bottom line, and it can have like money going missing, or I've seen recently for like a lot of like Aquarius risings, they're like, I never realized how much money I was wasting until I saw how many subscriptions I was paying for that I didn't use, or then I saw how much money I was spending on Uber Eats every month, or I realized that I was still paying for services and things that for other people on my family or on my phone plan that I never knew that I was paying for. So as planets come into your second house, like Saturn and Neptune, it's about getting more clarity on how are you wasting money, right? Where can you kind of trim the fat a little bit, be more self-sufficient with your expenses, and really kind of finely tune some of your resources. I think a lot of you guys will be very much like Marie Kondo. You're going to be like, less is more. I don't need anything. I just want freedom. So it might be easier for you to navigate, but definitely keep an eye on some of those budget and self-esteem things, and watch for those personal style changes. Hope that's helpful, Pisces. Let me know what's going on with you guys too, since that's one of your ruling planets. Well, guys, I hope that's helpful for navigating the week ahead. Like I said, I'm not going to candy coat it. It's gonna be wild this week. So hang in there. You can always come back to this video and you can take notes, or you guys can leave me comments and let me know what kind of transpires for you and how this hits home, as well as how this is kind of playing out in the collective. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate it. I read all of your comments. I can't always get back to people, but if you leave me a comment or give me a thumbs up, it really helps the algorithm and it helps my videos get out there onto YouTube. So consider liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and I will be back here this week. Obviously, I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. I will be here on Friday doing solar eclipse in Aries readings. Those eclipse readings get crazy, so I'll try to post that a little bit early for you guys. I will be here at 6:00 p.m. Central Time, so if you guys want to get a reading, find the link in the community tab, and I will post that so I can hopefully help you guys out on Friday. Stay tuned for other videos throughout this week. I am going to be previewing Jupiter in Cancer and taking a look at some of the other transits that are unfolding as the week goes on. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you guys are bold and brave and able to kind of get through this with lots of grace, and I will catch you on the other side. Take care.